Hello to the couple people maybe not listening. This is John Podcast. And I guess since this is the first episode, I should probably explain this podcast's purpose and its conception before I talk about the film I will be covering. So, essentially, this podcast is just me wanting to talk about some movies that I've seen recently, or movies that, if a dedicated couple actually watch this or not, recommends me. So yeah, that's about it. Just me talking about movies or any other stuff, and then I guess one of the main things that got this kick started was the fact that a bunch of Letterboxd users are kind of posers and really negative, and I wanted to try to make something positive out of film criticism and actually try to say things, unlike a lot of people on Letterboxd, apparently. So yeah, I'm filming this in like a tent right now, and hopefully I'll be a lot less awkward as it goes on. I did a movie podcast with my friend, Adrian. I don't know if he's watching this or not, probably. He might skip the rest of it, but this is the beginning, so you'll definitely hear this part. Hi, Adrian. I did a podcast with him once, and it lasted a couple episodes, and it was definitely a blast, but there's a lot of technical issues, and now it's kind of just down to we don't really do it because of, like, time, and on that podcast, it was a little bit more tight than I would prefer in terms of like how I want my podcast to be. I like more loose podcasts, or sometimes you'll just go off on the rails about really stupid stuff sometimes, and that's happening in either your life or the industry or whatever hobby or whatever you're talking about. I like to generally keep things pretty light, pretty loose. I think that's kind of important to having a fun podcast that you can just listen to at work, or if you're bored, or anything like that. And that I guess that's also my main intention, is that I want to make a podcast that you can probably just download and listen to at work or wherever if you're bored. Not really something you have to like sit down and genuinely listen to the complex conversations about bears and human evolution, like a particular podcast that I no longer watch. But so yeah, that's just kind of the intro. The name John Podcast comes from the fact that if you put John in front of almost anything, it's kind of funny. So you could say John Garbage Can, for example, and that's kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe I have a bad sense of humor, maybe not. I don't know. It's all subjective, I think. Maybe. But anyway, yeah, if anybody watching this, the one person watching this, has a recommendation or anything like that they would like to see me talk about or anything, definitely let me know. Comment on the video. I won't be getting any comments, aside from Adrian, but yeah, I hope that I can advertise this and maybe pimp it out a little bit and keep posting episodes. My preferred schedule to post them would be probably every Sunday. And that's, yeah, I think every Sunday would be nice to do, I think. Because I get done with work at 5. And yeah, that would be really nice. I work at a Walmart as a car pusher, and it's really not fun. My feet are very sore, and they have me doing Sundays alone, so it's generally my most dreaded day of the week, and I think it'd be kind of fun to lighten the day up and talk about stuff on the most dreaded day of the week, and that's another reason why I'd like to record this and hopefully post it on Sunday. So yeah, that's the intro. I suppose I should probably get into the talking about stuff regarding what the podcast is actually about, which is movies. Because I want to be a filmmaker, and I like film criticism, and I love movies. So yeah, today We're talking about Dinner in America by Adam Carter Ray Raymer. I don't know how to pronounce that. Raymeyer, Rehmeier. That's how you spell it. So, whatever. It stars Kyle Gallner and Emily Skeggs. And the one of the people in this movie that I was really surprised to see, and I was kind of laughing at, was Mary Lynn Rajskub. Rajskub? Yeah. She plays Gail the Snail in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is like one of my favorite shows ever. And I texted my dad as soon as I saw her. I said Gail the Snail showed up in this movie, and he said, "I hope they had some salt on hand just in case." And I thought that was funny. But yeah, so this movie has been in my general eye for a while, and just mainly just the name Dinner in America. I was kind of curious to see what it's about. When I first heard the name, I thought it was a documentary actually, which is kind of funny, and because it sounds like one. But no, it's more of like a punk sort of love movie, punk rom-com. It's fucking people laughing out there. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's very obviously inspired by Vincent Gallo's Buffalo 66. Like, even down to the fact that the movie only gets good after, like, the first 15 minutes, similar to Buffalo 66. But, overall, as it goes on, it gets good, it gets fun, and really energetic, and I can't help but really enjoy what the leads are doing here and just their energy that they're bringing to the screen. I really, really like Kyle Gallner. He's quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with in a way. He just basically plays a punk rocker in this film who, I'm not going to get into spoilers yet, but a punk rocker who's who's hiding out in a girl who obviously has some mental disabilities. He's hiding out in her house for now, away from the police, and then he also has a show in a couple of days that he has to perform for, and he's having a lot of issues with that as well, so he's very stressed the whole movie, and I think Kyle Gallner plays it really well. At first, when the movie began, he was really annoying, to be completely honest, and it was just one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm the punk rocker guy who says, the F word every sentence. F you, F that, F this place. What do you mean I don't get paid for not doing the full 8 days? Just stuff like that. Really formulaic. Buffalo 66, same thing with that. Maybe I'll talk about that later in another episode. I don't really want to get too much into that. I want to more just talk about this one. But Emily Skeggs' character, she plays just a 20-year-old who is obviously mentally slow in some respects, but that doesn't stop her from having aspirations, or obviously it doesn't stop her from having those stuff. What am I even thinking? But she's really in love with the lead of a band called what's that band called? I'm just gonna cut this part out if I can. Psyops, yeah. So she's really in love with a band called Psyops, and she really wants to see them play, and her parents won't let her, etc. And she also has to get a new job by the end of the week because she got kicked out of her old one, and life's just not great for her. And at some point, the punk rocker Kyle Gallner, his name is Simon, I guess, and then the other girl's name is Beth. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't remember their names too well, so that's my bad. He runs into her, and they form a relationship, and it's really sweet. So now I'm gonna get into spoiler territory, and actually talk about what I really love about this film and the things I don't like. And yeah, As far as things I don't like, just to get that off the bat, since it's also the beginning of the movie that I really don't like, is that it's just annoying. There's nothing that it's doing that's that interesting. I didn't care about the main character all that much. It's just, yeah, like I said earlier, I said this earlier. It's just a main character. So, what do you mean? I didn't get. I'm not gonna get paid the full amount for not doing the full 8 days. F you, man. Give me my money. I'm also gonna leave and be really pissed off and burn some stuff. And again, I was able to see what the film was doing and what it was going for, but it's just stuff that I've seen already, and it was just kind of annoying for me. And it was just reminding me of Buffalo 66 at that point, and I kind of wanted to watch Buffalo 66 at that point, but I still stuck through with this because of that. I mean, like the general discourse is that it gets so much better as it goes. So yeah, and I'm very happy I stuck through with it because it was worth it. And here's why I think it was worth it. There's all the reasons. I'll get into it. My bad. I'm really tired right now. I hate working alone on Sundays. It's actually just awful. So yeah, as the film goes on, it's basically just evolves into just this relationship with Kyle Gallner and Emily Skeggs, Simon, Beth, whatever. And they sort of navigate the suburbs of, I think it's in Michigan, I believe. They navigate the suburbs of Michigan and learn more about each other, and he helps her sort of dig into just not caring about what other people think and accepting yourself for who you are, even if you are a little slow. And there's a really great dynamic with that, actually. She doesn't really. She's not. Basically, the whole dynamic is that she's not a confident person, and she feels bad that she's kind of trapped in this bubble of, oh, well, I have to have really, really simple jobs that anybody can do, and I can't really go outside my comfort zone because there's obviously something off with me, and I don't understand what certain people think or what they mean, what they say. I don't understand that. And he kind of says, well, F that. Why would you care what other people think? Just do your own thing. And it's a really surprisingly satisfying dynamic with the two. And she kind of gives him something to actually care about and sing about. And yeah, it's really sweet, honestly. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. In terms of actual filmmaking, I thought it all looked really nice. It was all super clean and professional. Sorry, the mic rubbed up against the blanket. It was all really clean and professional overall. There's not a ton of noticeable issues really at all in terms of filmmaking. It was just a competent film. Obviously, it's not on like the same level as like how Michael Haneke composes his shots. Who did The Piano Teacher. It's not on the same level as like that stuff, of course. But for a really low budget movie with a pretty small crew and a very limited cast, I thought it was really competent. And one thing that I really loved was the music for the most part. There's some generic music that you'll hear in other movies, etc., during like sad scene music or whatever. But there's this moment in the movie where Beth asks Simon if she's slow, and he says, "No, you're punk. You're punk as F," as he says it. I'm not gonna swear. I don't know who's gonna be listening to this. So. But yeah, he says you're punk, and and who gives a crap what other people say? Just do your own thing. And she really takes that to heart, and the scene was like surprisingly. I mean, I'm not really explaining this all too well, but it was very poignant as somebody who I've definitely struggled with like thoughts about my own intelligence and how I'm not really confident in my own abilities, etc. And usually a lot of these movies, there's a lot of movies that touch on stuff like this and just don't really feel sincere. But the person who plays Beth plays like she plays a little bit slow or somebody with a mental disability like extremely well in my opinion, and she gets a lot of the mannerisms down. She's clearly there's a scene earlier in the film where she just lets out all of her frustrations and she's just kind of wailing her arms around while listening to Psyops, of course Simon's band. He also plays the lead in that band called John Q, who she's in love with and she writes letters to and sends really inappropriate pictures to. When I thought that was really funny. But yeah, she's kind of just letting go of all this energy and pent up rage that she has, and you immediately see why she loves the band for one, which already heightens Simon and Beth's relationship. But another thing that man, my brain just went silent for a second. That was crazy. 8:16. You know, a podcast, they don't really like fly by these things. Like they kind of feel like forever unless you're talking with somebody. I would love to have guests on, quite frankly. I apologize for this little break, but I gotta get my bearings straight. I'd love to have some guests on at some point. That'd be really sick, I think. And I don't know if the audio is like being really weird every time I turn my head to just look at some of the pictures for this movie to refresh my brain, but I hope that the audio is good because I have a really expensive mic and I don't really want to clean up audio because that's just the worst. Anyway, back to the movie. About that scene where Kyle Gallner's character Simon tells her, "I gotta stop saying that. I just gotta call them by their characters' names." I think we've established this, right, everybody? Simon Beth. That's like all you need to know. That's the main. It's like the main dynamic. Anyway, yeah. So basically, even just to predate that scene a little bit, Simon helps her one get back at her old boss for firing her and replacing her, because he just eventually said, "Yeah, you're kind of slow, and we kind of want somebody else." And Simon helps her do that. He helps her get back at some bullies that also beat him up. And immediately, despite the fact that he's really abrasive and oftentimes just mean in the beginning, he's starting to show a lot of empathy for somebody who he can understand the frustrations to because of his own family and the way that his family treats him and has a sort of disdain for him. So immediately, their connection just kind of makes sense, which I love to see. Their chemistry is great. Emily Skeggs is a really interesting looking person, which I love to see. She's not like ugly or anything, but you don't typically see somebody in her in like lead movies, and I love to see that. And I thought that it just added to the. I mean, for one, her performance is just amazing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a jackass, but yeah, she looks like somebody who you could glance at from like a side or like from a far away and say, yeah, she looks kind of slow. A lot of that's due to just the glasses and the way she dresses too. So I would just say a lot of that's costume design. But yeah, like but again, you know, you're not really judging her from a perspective of, oh, she's slow, I don't want to watch this movie. Like I want to watch nice young and intelligent men have a discussion or whatever. I don't care. Yeah, immediately I'm saying that a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I genuinely bought their relationship, which I love to see. Admittedly, it takes a second to get there. It's like 15 minutes before they even meet each other. And Gallner isn't set up in the most interesting light possible. It's just Gallo's character from Buffalo 66. And he's mad and he's angry and he's not that interesting at first. And well, the first time you see him, he's like testing out some drugs for $1,700, and he doesn't do the full 8 days because he pukes or whatever, and they won't give him the full amount of money, which I don't know. That's probably fair, I guess, even though the drug clearly put him in a really bad state. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I have to do some more research. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say too much stupid stuff here. But anyway, so yeah, he finds a family that's not Emily Skeggs' family at first, and he burns down their flower garden because they start insulting him at some point because he gets involved with the mom. So he kind of, I guess he had it coming because he got involved with the mom, which I thought was pretty funny. He burns down their flower garden in the front, and that's how the police are after him because of he's a pyromaniac. And so yeah, he finds shelter with Beth. He's staying in her room, and Beth doesn't know that he's John Q at first. And eventually he finds out that she has a huge crush on John Q of PsyOps. And he starts to have some second thoughts in a way about staying there. So he goes and sees his band members or whatever. And another side plot in this film is that they want his band to play next to a band called The Alliance. And The Alliance just really isn't respected among the punk community. And he doesn't want to... He doesn't want... What's the word here? What am I thinking of? He doesn't want to compromise his sort of artistic integrity because essentially the reason he's making music is because he's letting out his frustrations and he wants other people to connect with those frustrations. And, yeah, so him meeting his biggest fan, the one who sends him all the letters and the really interesting pictures, at first, sort of, I think the main reason he leaves is because first he has to talk to his band, but he's also really clearly shocked that he actually met the person who wrote those letters because it's, you see that he actually keeps some of them, which I think is kind of sweet. He clearly, it implies that he had sort of a connection with her before they ever met or seen each other. So yeah, I thought that was fun, and it was well handled. It wasn't like very in your face about the fact that he, like he had a connection with her already. He kind of just he has these letters, so he likes them. It never really puts too much attention to that fact, which I really appreciate. It seems like it's a film that respects the audience for the most part. And what else am I gonna say here? Yeah, back to that car scene though, where for one, the actress played it off amazingly. Um, she did like a really fantastic job at crying. But yeah, just the fact, like the way she says, like, "Do you think I'm slow?" is like I don't know, it got to me, it connected with me a lot. I've definitely had those thoughts before. If you can't already tell from the podcast, I wasn't really somebody who got like the best grades in school. I would occasionally have like the one thing that happens or seen in this film is that sometimes her brother or other people will pick on her for being slow and make fun of her and making really mean remarks or inappropriate remarks. And eventually it kind of gets to her. And it culminates in this moment where she finally has somebody to talk to about that, Simon, and she asks him, and of course I've already said this before, but he says, "No, you're punk." And that leads to like maybe my second favorite scene in the movie, where Mac DeMarco's My Kind of Woman plays over a montage of them just simply having fun and connecting with each other. And I really appreciate that. I thought that was a really fun scene. It's great to see scenes essentially function as kind of a music video that really work well. You're just watching them connect with each other and have a good time against all the other crappy stuff that's happened in the movie to these characters. And yeah, I don't know, it was really sweet and it really connected with me a lot. And yeah, I'm trying not to give like too much about, I'm not trying to like describe these scenes in too much detail because I hope that everybody watches this movie before they see this. Not that anybody is watching this to begin with, but just in case. And yeah, so after that they go home and I'm not gonna delve too much into like the family of this film or Beth's family, but her family, it plays a role. Gail the Snail plays the mom, of course. I don't know who plays the dad, but he was really funny. And essentially, what happens, I didn't really dive into this too much, but as soon as Simon comes to the home, he kind of lets everybody loosen up a little bit, and there's this really funny scene where he makes them think he makes them think that he's a Christian missionary in order to gain their trust. And it was really funny. And he introduces the brother who clearly has some anger issues to weed, and his brother becomes really chill and immediately gets a girlfriend after that, after he gets introduced to weed, because he's not so uptight anymore. And his girlfriend brings over some pot brownies, whatever, and their parents accidentally have some. And then as they get home and their parents are like really chill and don't really care what's happening. I think that's kind of funny. And then Kyle Gallner. I don't know why I could just say Simon. I don't know why. I hope not every episode after this will be like, I'll get more comfortable eventually. But man, I should rename this like the Loser Cast. That'd be kind of funny. Instead of just John Podcast, the Loser Cast. I bet some of this feels like a crazy person talking to himself. And in a way, you know what? Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway. Just trying to think of what else. Yeah, so eventually later in the movie, they break into Simon's house, and you get to see what Simon's family life is. And immediately, it's like, you can tell why he is the way he is. The thing is, they frame his family in like a considerably negative light, and it's really obvious that his family never accepted him for who he is, of course, and obviously didn't really like the gang that like the people that he was associating himself with, or the music that he's associating himself with. But one thing that kind of struck me in the framing of this family is that you can tell that he's obviously done something to hurt them, or like make them just not trust him anymore. Probably something with stealing or all that, and that's so in that way. I mean, as I was watching this, I was still able to sympathize with the family and say, well, I understand where they're coming from too. In the same way that I understand where Beth's family is coming at, and they don't want her to get too hyped up about something and be disappointed. And there's this dinner scene, which there's a bunch of dinner scenes in this, and all of them mirror Buffalo 66. Again, I don't want to keep bringing that movie up, but like all of the inspiration is like so obvious. But yeah, it leads to this dinner scene in which pretty much everybody hates Simon except for Simon's brother Danny, and Danny is actually trying to hear Simon out, and then there's the sister who's continuously yelling. And one thing is, I'll say this, like all the performances in this movie, in my opinion, are really good. Some people play annoying very well. Some people play chill very well. Some people play stupid very well. It's kind of just a really wacky character piece in some respects that I really love to see. I like to see more exaggerated characters that are still grounded in reality enough to where I can buy what's actually happening and buy the tension. I really love to see that. And yeah, eventually Simon just flips the table or whatever and smashes. I don't know if he flips the table, but he definitely smashes some stuff and leaves. And you kind of understand why, because the sister kept accusing him of stuff that he was doing. And this is what leads me to my favorite scene. I don't know why I didn't talk about this before the dinner scene, but basically there's this scene where they go into his room, and she finally finds out that he's John Q. And she's like, okay, let's make a song together. And he starts like doing some of the instrumentals already, and it's just great to see somebody who knows how to play instrumentals. Like it's not really a punk movie without decent music, and that's what I appreciate. The music is good. In my opinion, my subjective opinion. I need to make sure to bring a drink next time. God damn, my throat's so parched. Anyway, so there's a scene where they're making, Simon's providing all the beats and instrumentals and all that. And then he says, and they're asking what to do with the lyrics, and he brings out one of her letters, and he says, "This is my favorite one. You read this." And it culminates in this song called Watermelon, which I have on Spotify right now. I have it saved on my playlist, and I really love that song because it's a good song, in my opinion. I really, really just love the energy to that song. And it makes sense that it makes sense for, Beth's character, too, all the lyrics. Basically, some of it's just talking about how, she connects with John Q on a level that she's not able to connect with anybody else due to her environment and family setting. But as she's singing the song, which is again just a good song, and you can tell she's like pouring her heart into it, and you can tell the song means a lot to her as she's singing it, and I really love that. As she's singing it, you can see Simon's eyes start to get kind of teary-eyed, and I really loved it. I thought it was emotional in a good way, the best way possible, and that I genuinely cared about what was happening, and that's when I truly realized, hey, these characters are like really fun, and I love watching them, and I loved watching them navigate the suburbs. To be completely honest, when I first heard of this movie and I read the synopsis after mistaking it for a documentary, I thought it was going to be like a road trip movie, where they just like journey across the suburbs doing whatever. But no, that's not the case. They essentially it's just around their town, and they just get into all sorts of hijinks. Usually, the hijinks revolve around getting even with somebody, which in most cases it's people who have wronged Beth. Because again, Simon's able to connect with her troubles, and he feels a need to help her get back at those people. And essentially, their entire relationship up to that point culminates in this one song called Watermelon. And there's aspects about the song that when I first heard it, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a little cheesy singing part. But as it goes on, you can, the actors are really selling how much this song means to them and their characters and how much it ties into their characters. And yeah, it was emotional. I'm going to read the lyrics, actually, just to give the one person who's listening a taste. Let me search it up quickly. I have my computer just pulled up, of course. Watermelon song. And yeah, I feel like this movie's getting kind of popular recently, so I hope this song like kind of just takes off. That'd be great. And maybe it's already on TikTok, who knows. But yeah, I don't know. That was definitely my favorite scene in the movie. Gallner genuinely like seems emotional about this song, and it's obvious that Beth is emotional, and I really just I love it. The song is obviously not like it's not like a lyrical masterpiece, but the reason I love it and love its place in this film is just because of what it means to these characters, and I've probably already said that. So here's the lyrics. I'm a watermelon slammed into your driveway. Crack me open so I feel the air inside. Like a tongue. But this is where I was like kind of checking out for a second. But I was dragged back in immediately. In my eardrum dum-dum. Music boyfriend, I'm your yum-yum. Call me and I'll come. F the rest of them. F 'em all but us. Am I dreaming or did you just kiss me? You don't know it, but you already miss me. Like a tongue in my eardrum dum-dum. Music boyfriend, I'm your yum-yum. Call me and I'll come. And it's just the F 'em all lyrics after that. And immediately, it's obviously just really nailing that you're an artist that I'm connecting to and who's speaking to me. And I love you for that. And you're my music boyfriend, as they say in this movie, because she has like a huge crush on John Q or Simon, not knowing he's like that for the whole thing. But yeah, and just the line F the rest of them, F them all but us. Already just saying, hey, nothing else matters but me and you in my own dream world until I actually meet you later in the film, of course. And I don't know. Again, just the way that the actors are able to one the song is just well done in my opinion. I really like the instrumentals. And two, the lyrics are cheesy, but again, they make so much sense for this character who obviously has a mental disability, who just wrote some poetry and they wanted to see what it sounds like in song form, and it works. I don't know, like Simon on the verge of tears. It got to me, man. I was able to. It almost got me. It almost got me. But after that, you go to the whole final act is essentially just Simon finally playing the Psyops concert and having it his way. Then his bandmates rat him out, and he goes to jail. And the movie just ends with Simon in jail and Emily basically just waiting for him. And it's really sweet. And it ends with her listening to Watermelon as the camera does this big what's the movie, like angst like oh god, what's they do it's a crane shot, I know that for a fact, and the crane just lifts up and so the camera is going higher in the air, basically something out of Angst, which is a really awesome movie. And it ends like that. And yeah, so I don't know, the overall experience of the film I thought was really sweet. And I guess depending on the film, I don't know if I don't really. I just touched like really basic aspects of this movie. I obviously didn't touch upon everything. It's essentially, this is just a summary. I did go a little bit into the characters. Maybe next time I'll try to keep everything a little bit vague and try to just stick to filmmaking. But in general, this is more of a character piece than anything. There's nothing insane about the filmmaking that I can point to and say, well, I could probably spend all day talking about this. So yeah, the main appeal of this film is 100% just the characters, and I appreciate the environment in this film too. It 100% catches the suburbs. One thing that's always kind of fun is that you kind of can't tell what year this is. It's like it's either in the 90s or 80s, but it's never. It's probably alluded to in some sort of way, like oh, this certain specific TV sets from the 80s or whatever. But yeah, whenever punk got popular, I'm assuming is when it takes place. And yeah, it just works for me. There's a lot of aspects I don't really care for, and a lot of it is obviously derivative of Buffalo 66. But by the third act, the second act was also good, by the way. It was really good. By the third act, it really came into its own, and that's what I love to see, is that a movie that progressively learns how to be a better movie as it goes. Like, for example, there's a movie called Hundreds of Beavers. I'm going to plug it because it's fantastic. And what I love about that movie is that it starts off really fantastic already, but you can kind of see Mike Cheslick, the director, his skills improve as the movie goes on. And I really loved watching that. Like, it gets more and more insane, and the filmmaking gets more and more competent. And I love watching that kind of movie. And this is kind of what that is, in a way. A director, I mean, it's probably just due to the script just getting better as it goes on. But, again, the performances genuinely improve as they sort of play all their cards during specific scenes in which they needed to, either crying scenes or music scenes or whatever. And yeah. As for whether this film is punk or not, I'm not a punk guy, so I don't really know what constitutes as punk. If it's just like pretty heavier rock and a lot of swearing and smoking and drugs and greasy people, then yeah, it's 100% punk, I guess. If that's what it constitutes. I'm not a punk guy, so I wouldn't know. if that's what constitutes as punk, it's punk. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, I guess it premiered at Sundance. I'm just reading that. I don't really associate myself with Sundance too much. It's not like a film festival I'll look at and say, "Oh, I got to see that movie." I'm more of a TIFF guy, Toronto International Film Festival. But yeah, overall, if you're into like character movies, 100% recommend. Like it's yeah, Kyle Gallner kills it, Emily Skeggs kills it. They all kill it. Like everybody in this movie kind of just kills it. There's like two jocks actually that are kind of bad, and they're obviously really uh, very annoying. That's the only way to put them. They're annoying in the way that their performances aren't good enough to actually be like uh annoying in a way that makes me want to like, oh, I want to punch these guys. It's more just like, oh, you guys just can't play jerks properly. Other than that, though, the performances are outstanding, and I really enjoyed it. If I were to give it a number, it would definitely be like a 6. But don't a lot of people associate 6 with like a pretty bad score, but I don't know. I think it's a mostly positive score. Think about it. 6 out of 10. That's mostly saying, yeah, there's aspects of it that I find middling, but my overall experience is very positive, and I really enjoyed everything that it was doing near the second and third act. Again, that first act is really rough, but as soon as Emily and Simon meet each other, it gets so much better. And yeah, I rented this movie. I could have watched it on Hulu, but I didn't feel like watching it downstairs. So, and I also didn't have the password for the Hulu account, so I just watched it in my room. My throat is really parched. Yeah, I'd recommend if anybody's looking for a movie to watch and they have Hulu, definitely check out Dinner in America. Again, it's so rough at the beginning, but if you can move past that first 15 minutes, it really comes into its own, and it's an experience that I don't imagine much people around me would dislike at all. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna look out for what Kyle Gallner does next. He's really having a voice in a lot of these projects he's doing. I follow him on Twitter, I think. And recently he was starting a movie called Strange Darling that I'm really looking forward to. A lot of people say it's really wild, so I'm really looking forward to that one. And yeah. And back to the 6 out of 10 rating. I don't want to be like that pretentious guy. I mean, it's a purely subjective rating. I've seen a ton of movies. And yeah, again, it's just the Buffalo 66 parallels and two of those performances and all that yeah, again, if the movie was like consistently good, if it wasn't such a drag to get through that first 15 minutes and really annoying, it would probably be like a 7 or an 8. I'm not gonna lie, but overall, it's satisfying, it's rewarding, it's fun. I really love those two leads. I really love those two characters. As somebody who's, of course, as I've stated already, a lot of this podcast is just me repeating information. I'm gonna have to improve that, like actually. But anyway, as I stated before, I'm somebody who's like struggled with self-doubt in terms of intelligence or all that, not really fitting in with people. You can ask like anybody in my grade. I was just a quiet kid, basically. And which isn't like an insanely bad label. It just means I wasn't obnoxious, I guess. There are definitely some moments where I was like being a pretentious jerk. I don't know. But yeah, I try to improve overall. And it's a movie about self-improvement and how finding that right person can make you a better person, even though other movies have already done that but better. Punch Drunk Love being like the main one. I'd love to talk about that one time. During the podcast. That's one that I could go on about for a long time. I love Punch Drunk Love. I'd like to get a guest, though. I should really start getting guests for certain episodes where I want to talk about a movie for longer. Because I feel like this might just be like a half an hour episode so far. There's still some minutes that I might have to cut out. But yeah. Hopefully you all check out that movie. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be done talking about the movie. If you hear like shifting around like that, that's just I'm in a beanbag chair right now. So yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely just gonna upload this to YouTube. I wish I could get it on Spotify. I know somebody in my grade who has their stuff on Spotify. Sydney After Hours. That's a good podcast, by the way. She got her stuff on Spotify. I don't really know how. I'm too stupid to understand how. I think it's something where with it you have to find somebody or like a little label or whatever. I don't know what the term is to be willing to put it on Spotify. I have not found anybody like that because I have not looked. But yeah, so far just YouTube. I would definitely encourage people to just download these episodes, honestly, if they really want to, and listen to it whenever they have time or they're bored or they're at work, as I've said before. Yeah, I hope the next episode isn't complete garbage like this, but I got my feelings out about this movie, so in that way, it was pretty successful. Maybe I'll definitely check out Ray Meyer's movies after this. I think it's just Adam Raymeyer. Yeah, I'll definitely check out Adam Raymeier's movies after this. I know he made another one called Snack Shack, and the poster looks really bad, but I'll still check it out because I like what he did here. He definitely knows how to work with actors, and that's what I love to see. Yeah, uh, that's about it, everybody. I might pimp it out. I might pimp out this episode just to get some people started. I'm just gonna post it on my Drunk Hero Pid channel, which is not a very good channel. I posted some shorts that I poured quite a bit of time into, but like my audio was broken or my camera was garbage or the motivation for anything was kind of lackluster. I'm not a very talented person, but I try. At least I try to improve my stuff and make interesting art. Um, yeah, filming took place in. Oh yeah, I guess Ben Stiller produced this. That's kind of fun. I don't really associate him with movies like this, but I haven't really seen too many of his stuff, so I'm gonna have to check out his stuff. I saw him in Curb Your Enthusiasm recently. I was rewatching that show and I thought he was hilarious in that one. Anyway, check it out. After this, I'm probably gonna finish the Joel Haver movie I was watching called Hiccups. I'm really enjoying that so far. It's got a ton of charm. Yeah, I haven't actually even seen a Woody Allen movie, but it kind of seems like a Woody Allen movie from just everything I've heard that Woody Allen movies are. Anyways, yeah, consider watching or keeping up with episodes. I'll try not to make episodes garbage like this one, but I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Uh, Again, if you got any suggestions, let me know. And peace.